He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26, verse 39. Prayer was no new experience for Jesus. Dr. John Sutherland Bonnell reviews Jesus' prayer life as follows. We find that Jesus prayed with special concentration before taking each important step in his life. When the time came to select from among his followers the 12 men who would become his disciples and apostles, he spent the entire previous night in a mountain alone with God. He gave himself to prayer at the commencement of his ministry in the hour of baptism. And he was in the midst of prayer with 3 of his disciples on a mountaintop when he was transfigured with the glory of heaven. And just before he informed his disciples that he was going to go to Jerusalem to suffer and die, he turned aside for prayer. In the Garden of Gethsemane, beneath the olive trees, occurred what was perhaps the bitterest conflict in his whole life. And through prayer, he gained a victory. And then finally, on Calvary, with his blasphemies and tortures, he breathed out his life in prayer to his heavenly Father. The practice that prevailed throughout his life was strong in the hour of death and brought to him an unbroken peace that not all the enmity and evil men could take away. In a unique way, the humanity and divinity of Jesus shone through in this prayer. The human desire to be spared from suffering was balanced against the divine willingness to do the will of God. And the latter won. It was, however, no easy struggle. 3 times he prayed the prayer, and as Luke describes, he was in agony and prayed even more intensely so that his sweat was like great drops of blood falling to the ground. After the battle was won, Jesus faced the mob and his betrayer with great calm. Never once did he flinch during the long and bitter trial, not on Calvary. He was in perfect command of himself, and he met his death with dignity. All this came as a result of his communion with his heavenly Father. If this was something that was so important and pertinent to Jesus when he was here on earth, how much more should be our communion with our Heavenly Father? And as always, think on these things.